Hi there, and welcome to a Happily Letter After tutorial. I'm Rachel, and if you're joining me on YouTube, then I highly recommend you check the link to my site for this, because I'm going to have these free practice sheets linked below the video so that you can practice along with me. But I'm about to show you some basics of hand lettering and some tips and tricks that I like, and as well as some of my favorite products to use. So for paper, I like to start off with the Rhodia Dot Grid book. I like the smoothness of the paper, and for me, I instead of using grid paper, I like the dots. I feel like there's more freedom to it, and sometimes I'll start off my sketches in pencil and then work into the ink, especially when you're starting off and you get more comfortable with it. Tombow is my favorite markers to use. I like to get this 2-pack, especially I go through the ink a lot. So I get the 2-pack of the black. You can get it at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Amazon, and I use those a lot. The Fendusky, I don't know if I said that right. That one's my favorite. And you can also use just a regular pen. And I'm going to show you how to do faux calligraphy with a regular pen versus doing it with the calligraphy pen. So you'll see how to do both. So for some basic strokes, let me get these out of the way for now. For basic strokes, let me show you with the Fendusky pen first. So what you want to do is you want your upstrokes to be light and the downstrokes to be hard. So practice making some strokes going up, and then down will be thicker and heavier, and don't be afraid to press down. And again, you're going to want a smooth paper. So the practice sheets that I'm going to have available, that I'll show you in a minute, how to follow along on those. Those you're going to want to print out on some smooth paper. You don't want it to have a tooth to it because it can ruin the tip of your marker and it'll start fraying. So I would practice some strokes. Start on the dot grid paper or any other smooth paper that you have. Marker paper is great. And just start doing some basic strokes until you get comfortable. And that's what this marker looks like on that paper. They have a thicker one, they have different colors. Purple's my favorite, so that's what I'm going to show you. But you can do the upstroke. And these are kind of nice because they give you more of a variety in the stroke because it's a lot fatter. It just really depends on your preference. And they have this in black, they have them in different colors. There's many different colors that you can get. I usually try to get them when they're on sale. And then for faux calligraphy, let me write out a word for you first so you can kind of see the difference. Let's just do the word hello. So that's with the regular Fendusky marker. And then here's the Tombow marker, and it has a dual tip to it. So if you wanted to draw or color, you can just doodle with that. I never really use that side much. I usually just do lettering with it. And these ones are bigger, so tend to write bigger when you have these. For faux calligraphy, it's really easy. You don't have to have anything fancy. You don't have to buy Tombow markers. You can use any markers, and you can use any pens. Just use your favorite medium that you have. You can even use paints, and I might get into that in a different video later on. But for regular pen, what you're going to want to do is you're going to write it out like you normally would. Ooh, my pen's running out of ink. And then what you're going to want to do is on the downstrokes, you're just going to draw a line on each downstroke. And you're going to fill them in with your pen like that. And make it as thick as you want it to be. You can have it have a huge contrast by making super thick lines, or you can leave it kind of thin. It just depends on the style you're going for. So it's pretty easy, pretty basic. And that's just how you do hand lettering. It's really easy. And I'm going to show you with the practice sheets I have, and it'll make it easier for you, and you can print out as many as you want. Again, the link to the practice sheets is going to be on my blog, and it'll be a free PDF download. There's going to be this one here with the entire alphabet for lettering, and there's also going to be a blank one for practice, and you can even use this in your dot grid book. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but you can see it through the paper on the dot grid, or the marker paper might be a little too thick to see it through, but you can see through here, and you can go ahead and you can trace. If you don't want to print out a bunch of papers, you can print out as many of these as you want, so you can keep practicing. You can do it in different colors. Do it in black, or you can try to eyeball it and do it on the blank paper. It depends on what your preference is. This paper has lines for the cap height, which is going to be the top of your capital letters. Then there's the X height, which is this dotted line here, and that's going to be the top of your lowercase letters. And then you've got the baseline, which is where the bottom of your letters is going to fall. And then there's going to be the descender, and that's this light blue line here. And that's where the bottom of your descender lines, which is like the bottom of the P, Q, any fancy, like if you want the R to go down like I do, or the J, the G's, you know, etc. Those are going to go past the descender line. And I did not draw an ascender line, I forgot that, but ascender line is if anything goes above. I don't normally go above the cap height. I mean, it sometimes goes just slightly above, but not much for the way I do my lettering. Mostly I have the descenders go very far, like this Y. My Y's and my G's, I tend to make very dramatic, and they have more, it tends to go down more. That's just how I write. So I'm going to actually use my purple marker for this. And feel free to follow along, or you can watch, and you can always rewatch. My A's I do a little bit differently. And normally you would start with your upstroke on the left-hand side of your letter, and then it would go down and get heavier on the right side. But as you can see, I like to do this stylized A. And the more you letter, the more comfortable you're going to be, and the more you're going to experiment with different lettering forms, and you're going to have your own way you letter, and you're going to have your own favorite types of lettering. Because I know, like, a lot of people do a G that, in my opinion, it doesn't look like a G half the time. So this is how I do my G's, and it like I said, it's all preference. So you do what you're comfortable with, and you may change it up a lot, and that's okay. Like, you can change it as often as you want. It's your style. It's you. So that's the great thing about artists and people, is we're all different, and we're always going to change and evolve, and that's the beauty of it. We're always growing and learning. So I'm going to show you this A. Like I said, it's a little different than normal A's. Most people do their capital A. It's just a larger lowercase a. But I do this for my A. And I just think it's more fun. It's more fun to look at, more pleasing to look at. And again, you want to take your time when you first start doing this, so that you can get used to the feel of it, and practice going, you know, up lighter. Like you can barely touch the paper, Press down real hard when you go down. Obviously, you don't want to break your marker. But you can press down pretty hard. Again, as you can see on the paper, it's barely any pressure that I put on this. For those of you who like to use Procreate, and that's actually been my go-to lately ever since I got my iPad Pro, I have been obsessed with it, and I've been obsessed with lettering in Procreate, and I will have some video tutorials on that in the near future. But for any of you interested, you can download these practice sheets from my website, and you can download those straight to your iPad, and you can use them in Procreate. And if you don't know how to do that, I can show you in my next tutorial when I go to do lettering in Procreate. So don't worry, it is pretty easy. But then you can follow along, and you can print as many of these papers as you want to practice, and use a light box to trace them onto another paper, or if you can see it through your paper, great. If you need to make several strokes, like if you need to lift your pen up and then do it again and then do it in pieces like this, that's fine. You don't have to do one whole stroke. Just do whatever you're comfortable with. See, for the M, I usually do it down, as you can see, and I do that stroke. So it's in 3 strokes, and that's just how I do it to take my time, and so it doesn't look like a jumbled mess. I messed up on that X. I went down, as you can see, but I still did a light stroke. It happens. As long as you understand which pressure to put. We're all human. All right, and that's the whole alphabet using this sheet that I have ready for you. So feel free to download this, and as many as you like to practice, or trace them. That's fine too. if you only have regular computer paper, I recommend tracing it onto a marker paper, either using a light box or a window or something if it's thicker, or if you could see through it, like I said, that's great, and then you can just use that, and then you can use this blank paper for, you can even trace through it. I don't know if you can see, but you can see through and do the letters on there, and that way you don't have to waste more paper, and you can do that. Or you can try to freeform it, practice other things, like if you want to practice going up light and then down dark, and just do a bunch of random lines just to practice your X height, your cap height, and the drop, and you can try all those and see what you're comfortable with. My recommendation is to find a style that works for you. My style of lettering may not work for you in terms of how I do my letters. Find how do you normally write your letters, whether it be cursive or regular handwriting, and do variations of mine and change it into yours, so that you don't feel forced to do something doesn't come naturally to you. The ultimate thing is you want to feel comfortable lettering, and it should feel second nature to you once you start getting used to it and it becomes your style. So just have fun with it and experiment, and I hope to see you back for the next video.